Hello guys and welcome to Hakman Traders. In this video I'm going to be showing to you guys what are the main factors that affect the overall performance of the stock market. Now what are the news that affect the overall performance of the stock market? How would you know that which type of news affect the overall performance of the stock market? Whether it whether that news helps in the helps in uplifting the market or making the market an uptrend, or whether it does not help it and make the market a downtrend. So what type of news affect the overall performance of the stock market? Now those news are related to the economic growth of the countries. When the economic growth, most of them are related to the macroeconomic factors, which I've explained to you guys in the previous videos. Now the economy of the country also affects the overall performance of the stock market. Now if the economy is running good, so all of the things are good, the and the country is running great, because the economy of the country is good. It's not hampered by any external things. Also the political conditions, the current running political condition also affect the overall performance of the country. Now let me write it down. What was the first? Yeah, economic econ sorry it's an economic news. The other news is political news. So how does political news affect the performance of the stock market? Now political news affects in such a way that if if campaigns are running against the government or the ruling party, so it shows that the government is weakening, or the rulers who are running the campaigns place a certain demand to the ruling party, to the government. So what it shows that the government is unstable. It shows instability of some sort, and who knows what are their demands and how those demands would affect the general sentiments, or how they would affect the investors in that country. So it depends all upon those factors. If some of the if most of if they come into an agreement with the government or something like that, or the government is unstable, which I can say, if the government is unstable, it also shows that the the country is facing going through tough times, and also the stock market would be negatively affected on this. These two news both play an important role in the performance of the stock market. If both of these are positive, then the stock market would run in green. Both of if one of these is negative, then the stock market would run in red. So both of these will affect the performance of the stock market. Both of these play an important role in the running of the stocks. So the third, which we can say, is I've explained most of them in the previous video, like unemployment and inflation, and the other thing might be currency. Currency, interest rates, let's say the other thing is company news. Company news, by company news I mean that if a certain company, like if certain news arises against a certain companies, that will which the which most of the investors have invested in that company. So if certain news arises against the or against the company against the company, that most of the consumers know, most of their buyers or investors know that affect this news will affect the overall the share price of that company. So that news would affect the stock prices of that company, because it would not affect the overall stock market. It would affect the overall performance of that company. It would decrease the share price of that company, would be decreased by significant amount, because that news cause the o- then cause can cause the investors to withdraw their investment from that company. Now I'll explain this to you by an example. Let's say the current our current running situation is uh, mm, to create or invent a vaccine to prevent the that prevents the spread of the COVID-19. Now let's say a certain company has announced that we've introduced this vaccine to the market, and this would decrease the spread of the COVID-19. The share price of that company would increase, and more investors would invest in that company, because they know that this company is a success and they've succeeded in introducing a vaccine for the prevention of the COVID-19. Now let's say that vaccine is running well, and again and after some time a certain person dies, and he he blames the vaccine for that he blames the vaccine for the cause of his death, so that the share price of that company would decrease, because most of the investors would say that this vaccine is not a success, and they would be scared of investing in that company. So certain news there are certain news that would generally affect the overall price of that stock, not the stock market, not the overall stock market. Now let's say if the price of the oil increases, the share prices of the oil companies would increase, and if the oil prices decrease, the share price of the oil companies would decrease. If it is constant, then the share price would be constant. So these are some of the things that causes the overall performance of the that affects the overall performance of the stock. Now this I've explained to you in the previous video, and this I've briefly explained, but I will be explaining this to you guys in the future. And that's it for today. Hope you guys are enjoying my videos and want to learn more about the stock market. All I need you is to support my channel by hitting that subscribe button and comment down below, as your feedback is valuable for me. Goodbye.